Today's episode of Necronomipod is brought to you by Beardology. There are a lot of imitators out there, but there's only one place I buy my beard oil. Beardology beard oil nourishes your skin and won't leave you with that greasy feel. With over 17 cents available in their extensive product line, I trust my beard to Beardology. You can find Beardology at beardology.co. Use code NECRO15 to receive 15% off your purchase. Beardology. Discover the best way to avoid the shave. In 1975, 7 loggers working in Arizona claimed to have had an encounter with a UFO. One of the men approached the spaceship and went missing for 5 days. Today we discuss this story and whether or not these men are lying, or if they actually encountered an alien aircraft. If they're lying, why? What did they have to gain? Why would they allow their reputations to be questioned? If they aren't lying, what happened to Travis, the man allegedly abducted? Also, why, oh why, are we talking about hypnosis again? I'm Mike.
I'm Ian.
And I'm Dave. If you've ever gone missing for 5 days and swore it wasn't a Coke and tequila bender, stick around. You may have just been abducted by aliens. This is Necronomipod.
I was working with a crew of men in the woods, and we left the area. We'd worked late that night. It was getting dark. And as we were leaving down this dirt road way back in the woods, we saw a large glowing object near the road. Well, we stopped the truck, and I got out, went up to it for a closer look. I thought that this thing was just going to shoot right off, and I hurried towards it thinking, it'll be gone before I even get close enough to see it that well. But it didn't leave.
So just to establish at the start here, Travis Walton did associate with Betty Hill quite a bit, right? They used to hang out and frequently do drugs together.
No. Later on in life at UFO conventions,
they would hang out and
not do drugs together, but yeah.
Well, if you ask me.
They were old at that time.
Okay, so I got my Betty Hill reference out of the way at the top of the show. We're good to go. Fire in the Sky, the Travis Walton abduction.
Yeah, you would jump right into it?
Well, I don't know. Sure.
Well, what else you guys want to chat about? I'm open.
Time at the constant rain we've been having, or
Country Mike again?
Country Mike. I haven't seen him in a while. I don't know. We might have to call him back up. He won't show up unless he's invited, and he requires like a week or two notice. So he's very formal with that stuff. You'd never guess it.
He sounds like a formal guy.
He's a very formal individual.
Does he have to travel up here from Arkansas? Is that the advance notice?
He brings his RV up, yeah. Yeah.
All right, let's jump into it. On November 5th, 1975, Travis Walton, his best friend Mike Rogers, and 5 other loggers, Ken Peterson, John Goulet, Stephen Pierce, Alan Dallas, and Dwayne Smith, were doing a logging job near Turkey Springs, Arizona. So Mike had a contract where he was going to clear out brush, like diseased and old trees, to make room for more growth and stuff. But he had taken on 2 contracts at the same time. So they were working dawn till dusk to try and get this contract done on time.
That doesn't sound very efficient, taking 2 contracts at once.
No, he's just trying to make some money.
It's poor time management, if you ask me.
Yeah. If only he had someone like Mr. Muggs there running his schedule.
Yeah.
Or just there kind of, overseeing the job, cracking the whip.
Fuck schedule, log schedule. Mr. Muggs could do either.
Right.
Would you say you needed Google Analytics last time? Or
Google Analytics.
I'm just saying, if Mr. Muggs can
Docs.
clear out a jungle, which is dense as that is, and build a community, he'd have no trouble with fucking an Arizona woods.
Yeah, knocking down some trees.
Yeah, he'd have plenty of time for that fuck schedule. Mugs for jugs.
So around 7 p.m., the 7 men were on their way back to Snowflake, Arizona, when they saw a strange fire-like yellow light just above the tree line. So they thought it was a fire, but they smelled no smoke and didn't hear any sounds. And as they got closer, they saw the light was actually coming from a golden UFO that was shaped like a classic flying saucer. And they said it was like 2 pie pans, like one on the bottom, one on the top.
Together.
Yeah. Mike Rogers stepped out of the truck, and as they watched the UFO hover silently, it shot out a beam of blue light directly below it. And we'll get into why later, but Travis decided that he had to get a closer look. So he opened the passenger side door, and some of the guys' recollections was that he already had the door open as they were pulling up, like he was ready to go. And he just hopped out of the truck and walked toward the UFO while the rest of the crew was telling him to get back in the truck, like, get the fuck out of there.
This sounds like something you'd be doing.
That's what I was saying. Is that what we think Ian would do?
Absolutely, 100%. He'd be like crawling out the window before we even pulled over.
Let me at him. Yeah. Are we going to talk about the movie throughout this and reference from the movie, or?
Yeah, we can talk about it throughout. Yeah, for sure.
So if they want to do like a watch along while we're talking, they can watch the movie while
we can bring it up. We can bring it up now. The movie, they have, the real story, they say golden, pie-shaped UFO, but in the movie, it's like
bright red.
Yeah, it's got this like organic looking,
pulsating, living.
Yeah, looks like there's veins going through it.
Yeah, it had the Hollywood treatment for sure.
Yeah.
Also, terrible movie. It's not great. It is not a great movie.
It's cheesy.
It's cheesy. The acting is awful. Like you said, the abduction scene's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then the scenes at the end are pretty cool when he's in the UFO, but that's not really true to the story.
Right, yeah.
Starring Cleveland's own Robert Patrick, though.
Well, there we go. There's that. I couldn't remember his name the whole time I was watching it.
Which one is that?
Mike Rogers.
Oh, okay.
The guy, he's from Bay Village. His brother's Richard Patrick from Filter.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're from Cleveland.
It's a fucking famous family.
Absolutely.
So as Travis got closer, he said he could hear sounds that sounded like the faint sound of heavy machinery with high-pitched beeps underneath of it. So, and that kind of goes back to Betty and Barney Hill with the beeping. And I think Mothman had some beeping going on too. Mm-hmm. When Travis was directly under the blue beam of light, he said the sounds got louder and it sounded like a turbine. All the men, including Travis, said they started to be able to like feel the sound, like stuff was vibrating. The craft then moved for the first time, and they said it kind of wobbled back and forth. Travis decided at this point it started moving, that he should probably take a step back.
Oh, now he realizes, shit, I should step back.
That he was fucking around with something that he didn't, shouldn't be messing around with. And then the light changed from blue to like a bluish green. Just after the beam changed colors, Travis was picked up, presumably by the beam of light, and thrown 10 feet back and landed on his right shoulder. So thinking that the UFO had killed Travis, in a panic, Mike Rogers started up the truck and just took off, started driving frantically away.
Thanks, buddy.
It's good to know.
So much for No Soldier Left Behind.
Yeah, it's interesting how it's represented in the movie. That he's dead. Like, they didn't get out. They didn't get a closer look at him. All he did was fling him back a few feet.
Yeah.
And they made a broad assumption that he was dead.
Right.
With,
And that seems pretty accurate to the real story, because it throws him and they're like, fuck it, we're out of here.
He's dead. Get out of here. Thanks, pal.
It's a good best friend he's got there with Mike Rogers.
If only they had Jim Ross calling it. By God, they killed him! Somebody stop the damn match!
So they were tearing through, just smashing through tree branches and stuff, and the road was really like a real treacherous road, and it was filled with potholes that they called "thank you, ma'ams," because when they hit them in the truck, they went wham bam.
That's pretty good.
I like it.
So stupid.
That's a logger joke there.
That inside logger humor. I'm not nearly masculine enough to be a logger, nor think that joke is all that great.
You sure about that, Paul Bunyan? I think you make a great logger.
Yeah, you know me. I don't even know which end of the hammer to use half the time.
He'd knock himself out with the axe handle.
So they stopped the truck a few miles down the road, and they were arguing with each other about whether they should go back and look for Travis. And so Mike Rogers decided he was going to go back, and the rest of the crew could stay behind if they wanted to. But they ultimately all decided to go back.
And in the movie, only Mike went back.
Yeah.
They really didn't even show that part.
No, yeah.
I was going to say, I don't remember seeing that. They kind of skimmed over it.
Yeah. They
I feel like that would have been a better scene to leave in than half the shit they left into that movie. Just my opinion.
When they got back to the scene, there was no sign of Travis, but in the distance, they said they saw the UFO just kind of rise up and fly away at like impossible speeds.
That's a common statement. We've heard that before, right? Impossible speeds.
Yeah.
They always say that.
They're always super fast.
What doesn't always say like they'll hover and then they'll just take off and like they'll just be gone just like that.
That's probably why. I mean, if something can go that fast, it's probably not a good idea to just go and fucking stand right underneath of it and start messing around.
Probably not.
Don't you think something that could move that fast probably had noise suppression and wouldn't be as loud as a turbine, though?
He said the way he said it was that he didn't hear it like that until he got directly underneath it. Like when they were in the back, it was silent, but as he got closer, it was louder.
Okay.
And then when he was right underneath of it is when...
That's a little different.
Maybe that noise was the doors opening to suck his body up.
Maybe.
So they drove back into town and called the police, which at this point was about an hour and a half after the alleged incident. Deputy Sheriff Chuck Ellison met the men in the parking lot of a shopping plaza, finding them all to be visibly upset, with some of them looking like they were about to cry. Ellison got together a group of the officers to go search the area, but they found nothing. The police informed Travis's mother, who was very calm about the situation, which is something debunkers point out, that she was just like...
Like that he told her he was planning it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was going to ask why the debunkers would pick up on that, like what their specific reasoning was.
Right.
Guess what I'm going to do, Mom? I'm going in a UFO.
And we'll get into the debunking at the end.
Yeah,
We'll talk about some of
yeah.
those theories.
Within 2 days, the story had gone worldwide, and UFO investigators started arriving in Snowflake, Arizona by the dozens.
Well, hang on. MUFON or NICAP?
All of them.
Okay.
All of them.
Aren't
Literally.
you guys
all of
impressed I remember that?
Yeah.
Okay.
I remember those too. I don't know why those stuck in my head, but I remember.
Yeah.
MUFON are the okay ones, NICAP's the real super aggressive ones.
When we'll get into it later, too. Like we said before, they all fight with each other, and they're always arguing and shit. But this is like the heyday this is like really the prime time for these groups, because the government, I think it was 1968, the government killed Project Blue Book and all that stuff, and basically said, we don't give a shit anymore. UFOs aren't real. We're not going to look into them anymore. So that's what sparked all these UFO groups. And this was like the first big one.
If only they could have worked together, what could they have accomplished?
Yeah, well, you know what? Down the road, when we do a Skinwalker Ranch episode, we'll see what happens when they try to get together and how terribly that fails.
Teaser.
Yeah.
Is there a shootout? Like a gang shootout?
No, they basically just fought with each other and blew all the government funding that they got. They got it all taken away from them because they fought too much.
Smart.
Way to go, guys.
So the police were working on a theory that Travis had been killed on purpose or accident, which makes sense. I mean,
Of course.
the guy's missing. And so, yeah, and the police thought that they came up with the UFO story as a cover. When Travis hadn't shown up by Monday, all 6 of the men were given polygraph tests. They were asked if they caused physical harm to Travis, if his body was buried in or around where they were working, and if they had actually seen a UFO. They answered no to the first 2 questions and yes to the third, and 5 out of the 6 men passed the test. The 6th came out inconclusive, which was Alan Dallas, who was just a drifter that didn't like to be asked questions, so he didn't do it. He just moved around the whole time and wouldn't give...
He was the bad boy of the group.
Yeah.
He's the one that didn't like Travis.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was real
In
or
the
not, but it
movie.
represented in the movie.
Yeah. And they, as far as looks, they kind of, they didn't really represent him right, because I think it's the book that Travis Walton wrote, that they all had like man mustaches, except for Alan Dallas had a beard, so he was all shady looking, because everyone else had these sweet mustaches.
Well, if you're a logger, you have to have a mustache and wear your flannel.
And a cool flannel shirt, right?
Yeah.
And be on Brawny Man paper towel roll.
Hey, Cleveland was at one time home of the Cleveland Lumberjacks IHL minor league hockey team. Just saying.
I remember.
So the believers actually outweighed the skeptics in Snowflake, with Travis's mother and his one brother Dwayne being the biggest believers. In an interview, Dwayne said that he believed the UFOs were peaceful and he thought Travis would be returned safely. It's another thing the bunkers pull out, is like, you're talking like he's going to be returned by these UFOs,
The family didn't seem very concerned.
Right.
Overly optimistic for no apparent reason.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's not how the movie had it. He was roughing up Mike in the movie.
He was pissed.
Yeah, he was not thrilled, but in real
For those
life...
of you watching the movie right now at home,
in real life, Dwayne was all about it.
it is available on Hulu, by the way. If you have Hulu, a subscription, it's available on that. For anyone who
Amazon
wants to
Prime
find it.
too.
Yeah, that's where I
I
watched
checked
it.
Amazon Prime and it was charging me last night.
Watched it today.
That's weird. I checked it last night. It was going to make me pay $3.99, so I checked Hulu and it was free.
No, I watched it.
And you can probably find this shitty movie on YouTube. Let's be honest, it's probably there.
I think I heard if you play Dark Side of the Moon along with the movie, something cool happened.
Oh yeah.
No, that's not true.
No, I think it's Kiss Love Gun. If you play the Kiss Love Gun album from 1977. Or when was this, 75? Maybe it was Dress to Kill. That was Kiss. Dress to Kill was 75.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Well, I was asking when this happened.
Oh yeah, 75.
Right. It's Kiss, Dress to Kill played along with the movie.
I'm guessing there's very few Kiss fans in our audience.
Stop it. Everybody's a Kiss fan. World's most popular band, officially. It's on Wikipedia. I put it there.
Dwayne said he was so confident that his brother wasn't in danger. The only thing that bothered him was that he wasn't in the UFO with him.
Yeah, okay.
That's his concern.
Travis and his brother Dwayne had many conversations over the years on what they would do if they saw a UFO. And both of them agreed that the best thing to do would be, and this is a quote, immediately get directly underneath the object as physically as possible to maximize the possibility of getting abducted.
All right, there's a lot of suspicious things building up in this story.
So, Dwayne and Travis also agreed that once on said UFO, they would convince the aliens to go pick up the other brother.
Because they're going to be sitting there like in the back seat of this thing, like telling, "Oh, hey, go pick up my brother. Please go pick up my brother."
You gotta stop at Dwayne's house.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, I don't think that's how it works, but
Yeah, let's ask Barney Hill how it works.
he did not have a good time.
Shoved up your asshole.
Semen extraction.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Barney was
that's right.
not thrilled with
That's
it.
the worst part, even. Jeez.
Barney's probably got a bunch of alien kids walking around up in some planet that they,
Human hybrids.
yeah.
Maybe so.
What else did they use it for?
If you're looking at me like I have the answers.
You always seem to be a Betty and Barney expert.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that it was all made up and they were drug addicts. The only semen he lost that night was whatever Betty took from him when he was drugged up and passed out on the bed. Just my thoughts.
And moving on.
The family was then contacted by a man named William Spaulding. He was the Western director for the Ground Saucer Watch, which we've never talked about the GSW before, but they're another one of those civilian UFO groups. Spaulding told Dwayne that he would provide a free medical examination by a doctor for Travis upon his return, stating that it was very important to collect a sample of Travis's, quote, first voided specimen.
What does that mean exactly?
He just wanted to test his piss.
Oh, that kind of specimen.
Yeah, that's what I'm assuming.
We don't know.
That's kind of vague.
So Travis at this point had been missing for 5 days, and it's depicted in the movie, but these guys were getting grilled by the police over this.
I bet, yeah.
Thinking that they had killed this guy or something.
And I'm sure even some of the townspeople
Oh yeah.
who they were, close with and knew. You said the majority of people kind of believed them, but the people that didn't probably thought that they were shady individuals.
Well, and it was a tiny town too. It's like everybody knew each other.
Did they send out big search parties like they depicted in the movie? Going up and down the mountain looking for them?
I don't know. People did search. I don't know if they had dogs and helicopters out there and shit like.
Yeah, it was a massive search in the movie.
On November 10th, 1975 at 12:01 a.m., Travis's sister got a collect call from a payphone at an Exxon gas station about 30 miles away from Snowflake. Dwayne and his sister got into their truck and they found Travis dehydrated, incoherent, and terrified, huddled up into a phone booth. And he was not naked like the movie depicts.
Okay. All right.
So instead of immediately letting the police know that Travis had been found, Dwayne called William Spaulding from the GSW to get that free doctor exam.
Okay.
So they drove 144 miles in the middle of the night to Phoenix, Arizona.
Anything to save on that copay, am I right?
And they met with a guy named Dr. Lester Stewart. However, when they asked for the credentials, they found that this guy actually was not a doctor. He was a hypnotherapist.
Mike's kind of doctor. He could treat Mike.
He's legit, guys.
Lester was a medic in the Army and just decided that he was now a doctor.
Oh, well, he was a medic in the Army. He's already too qualified to be a hypnotherapist.
So about 45 minutes later, they headed back to Snowflake because they weren't going to let this guy touch Travis.
That's probably a pretty reasonable decision.
Well, the reasonable thing to do would have been just to call the police and say, hey,
Yeah.
This missing guy's been found.
Guess who we found? Remember Travis?
So by the end of November 10th, the Walton family had received a phone call from another UFO organization called the Aerial Phenomena Research Organization.
Did you have any idea there were so many UFO research organizations? It's crazy.
I did not. I'm sure Ian did.
Oh, he knew. I'm sure he knew.
No, because especially because we've covered a few of these now, and I've not heard. We've only talked about NICAP and MUFON, really.
Yeah.
It's a new one every time.
Yeah, we're gonna be experts at these by the end.
Right.
We're gonna be like, oh, you mean AC 42963?
Are all these still around? Seems like this kind of activity is not too frequent anymore.
Know about the GSW. I'm 99% sure APRO is. I know MUFON and NICAP are. I was looking at MUFON's website the other day. $300 a year to be a VIP investigator.
Excellent.
You get all kind of bonuses too.
You have to pay, or they pay you?
No, you pay them.
You pay them to work for them?
Yeah.
Get out of town. I'm thinking they'll give you $300 a year if you actually get some good stuff for them.
Oh no. You get a hat and coffee coffee mug,
Like a
all
little
kind
badge
of
and a magnifying glass. One of those hats that goes backwards, like who was that? Sherlock Holmes, like an investigator hat.
You get
Commemorative
all kinds of
Betty Hill pin for your jacket.
No, they just give you a needle.
So most of these organizations are low on money, but APRO had made allies with the National Enquirer, so they were getting funding from them. Like we were saying earlier, there's no other community like the UFO community that has so much infighting amongst the groups. 3 weeks before the Travis Walton abduction, there was a conference held between all the major civilian UFO groups to kind of make peace with each other. So here's a review from that meeting that was published in a GSW newsletter.
During October of last year, I was a participant at the National UFO Conference in Fort Smith, Arkansas. The theme of the meeting was United for Objectivity. In all fairness to Bill Pitts, the organizer of the broad undertaking, it was a monumental achievement, bringing together all the major civilian organizations' leaders under one building at one time.
It's hard to read like this.
We left Fort Smith with mixed but good feelings. Unfortunately, no high-level resolutions were established, nor were any serious objectives planned for the future. On the plus side, I felt the pretty ill feelings existing between the organizations were settled, and now some constructive teamwork could be accomplished in the 70s.
That was really hard to do. Oh, I'm sweating now.
That was impressive.
Yeah.
Thanks. That was Nerd Mike.
Does Nerd Mike have a pocket protector?
He most certainly does.
So now we got 3 characters.
Guess so. He's
Country
I like
Mike.
to think he's Horshack meets Steve Urkel meets Carlton Banks. But that's when you see him on the dance floor.
I like it.
So this peace treaty or whatever, it was short-lived because the teaming up of APRO and the National Enquirer would cause a pretty much forever split between the organizations.
Bad blood.
Yeah. Through the funding from the National Enquirer, APRO was able to hire their own hypnotherapist. This hypnosis session was able to unlock the lost memory that Travis had from his experience on the UFO.
Travis's website states that the hypnosis merely helped him to better verbalize his experience.
Oh, okay.
It did not actually bring these lost memories that he couldn't remember. He always had the memories. He just had trouble.
So he just had
verbalizing
to
them.
concentrate really hard, and he was able to remember. He would figure out how to verbalize what he saw.
That's what it said.
And we'll tweet out his website too.
It's not great.
No, it's not.
Well, are any of these UFO websites great? They haven't been updated since 1975 when all this happened.
You know what's funny? If you Google Travis Walton, it says he comes up as an actor, but the picture is one of his buddies, the witnesses. So he doesn't even have his own picture doesn't even come up. Poor guy.
Yeah, MUFON's it's okay. It's not great, but it's the best out of the bunch, I guess.
Their website?
Yeah, it's all right.
For those of you that want to search the MUFON website and pay $300 to work for them. Was it MUFON that you were saying before? Was it them? Yeah.
I don't know what it costs to be with NICAP or any of the other ones, but they all need money, so you got to pay to work.
You could put that on your resume, though. VIP alien investigator.
Hey, I'd hire you and then laugh at you.
I'd hire you for comedy fodder.
So, yeah, this is his account on stuff. When he woke up, he was laying on a table in a room. He said it was hot and humid and that the air was so wet that he could hardly breathe.
So he was in Florida.
Yeah, sounds like it. Maybe he just went down to Florida for 5 days.
Yeah. Ugh, that would be a terrible experience. I would rather be abducted by aliens.
He said the room was all like a brush metal gray and had no seams, like there were no, like everything was just flat and smooth. As his eyes adjusted, he said there were alien beings surrounding him. They were little under 5 feet tall with large bald dome heads, like basically the classic gray. They had the big eyes, but he said that they were brown, not black like everything else. And when they blinked, he said their eyelids slid down and then rolled back up, like almost like a window shade or whatever.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I'd like to see that.
Yeah.
He said their skin was white, and he used the word marshmallowy. So I don't really know.
Like the Stay Puft Marshmallow
Yeah.
Man?
Yeah, I don't know if that means puffy or like the texture of like a marshmallow. Whatever. Hypnotism brought that out of him, right? So
He also said that their mouth, nose, and ears were tiny. That's something you don't really hear too much, is that they have ears.
yeah, that is odd.
Yeah. Or really a nose, but yeah.
Have you seen pictures or like depictions of what he described?
Yeah, there's drawings
So we'll have
out
to find
there.
some.
Yeah.
Are they similar to the hills?
Yeah, kind of.
Okay.
So Travis, obviously being scared, he started freaking out and hit the alien that was standing to his right. He said they were surprisingly light, and when he hit one, it just like fell over into the other one, and knocked them both down. Like
a domino?
Yeah, but he was like it shouldn't have been that easy to knock him down.
He was surprised by how weak they were.
Right. Travis stood up and staggered backwards to the wall behind him, and he saw a clear tube on the wall and thought he could break it off and use it as a weapon, but he found that it was like unbreakable. He said while he was trying to break off the tube, the aliens put their hands up in what he felt like was a gesture to calm down. When Travis refused to calm down, the aliens hurried out of the room down a hallway and turned to the right. Travis decided to follow down the hallway once he felt that the coast was clear, but since the aliens went to the right, he decided to go to the left.
Smart. Strategic thinking.
Travis walked down the hallway until a door opened on his right. When he walked in, he found a round room with a metal chair sitting in the middle, facing away from him. He said he carefully approached the chair thinking that there might be someone sitting in it. He found that the closer he walked to the chair, the dimmer the lights got. As the lights got dimmer, he could see stars all around him on the ceiling and the floor. So it was like almost like a big
planetarium?
Yeah.
Huh.
I like planetariums. Those are
Yeah,
fun.
that's fun.
What's that app that we use?
That you and Angie use.
Dude,
Yeah.
that Skyview app. Anyone who's into astronomy or just looking up at the stars or whatever, dude, that Skyview app is fantastic. And it's free. Check it out. I'm not a paid advertiser.
But you'd like to be one.
I would love to be one. Skyview, if you're listening, hit us up.
When he got to the chair, he found that there was a panel of buttons and a small green screen on the right-hand side of the chair. And the left side of the chair had a lever. On the wall directly in front of the chair, he said there were rectangular patterns that he thought might be doors. So he started pushing buttons thinking that they would open. When nothing happened, he decided to start pulling the lever. And when he did this, he said the stars in the room started moving, like it was almost some kind of map.
Good thing it wasn't the self-destruct button, right?
Well,
He'd have been in big trouble.
he already walked right underneath the UFO. I don't think he really cared about
That's
what
true.
buttons he was pushing.
Good point.
True.
Not a deep thinker, this guy.
As soon as he stopped messing around with stuff, he heard a noise. When he turned around, he said he saw a man standing there that looked like a normal white guy with blonde hair. The only thing odd about him was that he said his eyes were larger than normal, and the color in his eyes was gold. He said this man was wearing a tight blue jumpsuit and had a clear bubble helmet covering his head. Travis started yelling and screaming at the man, but he said nothing and just smiled back at Travis. He waited.
Creepy.
Yeah, like the
grinning man.
right. He waited for Travis to calm down and then took him by the arm to lead him to another room. Travis went with him because he figured the guy couldn't hear him because of his helmet and would possibly help him. They walked into an airlock, and when they entered, the humid wet air turned into he said a cool, refreshing air.
Oh, so they flew from Florida to North Carolina. That's nice.
Travis thought this area was some sort of a hangar because he said there were 3 UFOs parked that looked like the one that had taken him. Once they were through the hangar dinner area and into another room, Travis was met with 2 other men and a woman who all had the same features as the guy who brought him in there. But these 3 weren't wearing helmets, and when Travis tried to ask them what was going on, they just stared and smiled at him. So no one was talking to him, or no one was giving him an answer.
But maybe they didn't know what he was saying.
Yeah, they probably didn't. Yeah, because you would presume that they're...
And again, the smiling, like we talked about with the grinning man, maybe that's what they perceived as a comfort
Right.
to humans, is smiling. So they just keep smiles on their face the whole time to make it seem like they're trying to be. That's how they know to be pleasant.
Yeah, the woman started leading Travis to another table, but Travis started kind of freaking out again. And the woman grabbed a plastic face mask that had a black sphere on the back of it, and it had no tube coming out of it. It was just like a face mask. And she put it over his face, and before he could reach up to pull it off, he went unconscious. The next thing he knew, he was standing on the side of a highway and saw the UFO shoot straight up into the air and disappeared. And out of the 5 days he was missing, this is the only memory that Travis could give back.
I mean, compared to some of these other stories, it's pretty benign and, not very traumatic.
Crazy. Yeah, it's nothing too crazy.
No.
Based on what he's saying.
The movie had a whole different
the
depiction.
movie plays it up.
The movie
a little
got
more,
real
but that's
intense.
Hollywood.
Yeah. So what's this guy bitching about? It wasn't that bad.
And he wanted to do it.
Yeah. He ran over there, got pulled up in the tractor beam. They were really nice to him.
I guess in all fairness, he wasn't bitching really, was he?
You're right.
Just telling his story through hypnosis.
Yeah.
I guess the movie showed him so traumatized.
Right.
But yeah, I guess he...
Well, the movie also didn't necessarily show that he was excited about it, nor his brother.
Yeah.
He was just curious and left the vehicle.
Are there interviews with him right after it happened? I'd be curious to see.
With Travis?
Yeah. Like local news or anything, right after this happened?
It's after, it's a couple days after. It's after the hypnosis, I believe.
But there's actual video interviews with him? Did he seem depressed or happy-go-lucky?
He just seemed...
Just like a dude?
Yeah, basically. Yeah. I know they wanted him to do... They were bugging him for a while to do interviews and stuff, but he wouldn't do them. But yeah, I mean, the movie makes it out... Like, it's real intense, and there's like that dead body in that pod and shit.
Oh,
that
yeah.
He puts his hand
Right.
through.
Oh,
like,
that's right. Yeah.
That was creepy.
Yeah, it's all kind of crazy shit.
He's
And
like floating through like that whole area. That was really creepy.
they put that black goo in his mouth and stuff.
It was also trippy because I was like right on that verge of like falling asleep while watching it.
Yeah.
So like I almost felt like I was in a dream. Then I'm watching all this creepy stuff and I'm just like, what is going on right now?
Yeah.
You could have had sleep paralysis. That would have been terrible.
Yeah, that would have been bad.
We've talked about that on the air,
Yeah.
haven't we? About how that has happened.
You're susceptible to that.
I am very susceptible, but it's not triggered by anything like that, though. Like I don't. At least if there is something I've not noticed, it just when it happens, it'll typically happen. The last time it happened to me, it happened about like 3 times over the course of an hour. I kept falling asleep, waking up with it, falling asleep, waking up with it, or allegedly waking up with it because my demeanor when it happens is always so calm that I might be dreaming it and it's not real. I don't know. It's very weird, nonetheless. But I've heard people say that when they wake up, they panic because it's happening because you can't move.
Right.
I've never felt that way. Like I tell myself, oh, you're having sleep paralysis, just go back to sleep and you'll wake up in a little bit and be fine. And then that's what happens. So that's why I say maybe I'm just dreaming that it's actually happening.
Yeah. It's not so bad when you can remain calm like that.
Right. Well, it's still not fun, but yeah.
It's not terrifying.
It's not terrifying one bit. And again, I've never had like that person, like the demon on my chest that they talk about.
Yeah, like the black,
black
like the shadow people.
Yeah, never anything like that.
Yeah, the other interesting thing too with the movie versus this is they don't talk about the white people, the blonde people with the gold eyes, or they don't show them at all.
No, they kind of replaced that scene with the scene, like they replaced that part of the story with the scene where he's in like the crypt with the other body.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's no, he didn't get to even a chair, did he? There's no chair scene.
No, there's nothing. Yeah.
And now a word from our sponsors.
We like to drink beer, a lot of it. After a long night of drinking and talking crime and conspiracies, there's nothing that wakes us up and gets us ready to start the day better than Just Brew Coffee. With a great selection of roast levels to choose from, you're guaranteed to find one that suits your style. Small batch roasted to highlight the unique features of each coffee bean, Just Brew Coffee caters to both casual and hardcore coffee drinkers alike. Since 2010, Just Brew Coffee has worked tirelessly to perfect the roasting process and technique, which has resulted in seriously delicious, always flavorful, and never bitter tasting coffee. If you're already drinking JBC, raise your mug. If you're not, raise your standards. Check them out in social media and remember, They roast, you just brew.
Check out their new online store at youjustbrew.com and up your coffee game today. Use code NECRO15 to receive 15% off your order of 2 pounds or more.
So after the hypnosis thing, APRO set up an examination with a real doctor, and it was found that Travis had a small red puncture wound on near his elbow.
It's an odd place to shoot up.
Did Betty teach him that?
Whatever weird tricks she did back in, what was it? Where was she, the 60s?
Yeah, 62?
Were you
61?
joking earlier when you said they hung out at conventions?
No, I'm serious. There's pictures of them.
Really? Yeah. That's my favorite thing ever. I'm finding that photo. We're posting that one.
There's video. I was watching videos of Travis speaking at, later conventions and stuff, and there's 20 people in the room. We should go to one of these sometime.
That would be
It has to
fantastic.
be wild.
I would love it.
Out in Roswell.
You watched the Richard Doty one, didn't you? The
Yeah.
Mirage one?
Yeah.
There was that UFO convention
Yeah.
in that one.
I would love to go to one of those.
I'd be all about it.
Road trip.
Go to a good one where like Stanton Friedman's talking or something. That'd be fun. So yeah, so this puncture wound looked like it came from a hypodermic needle. The urine analysis also showed a lack of ketones, which implied that Travis had been eating for the past 5 days. So like
He was on that
ketone.
keto diet.
Is that what it is? That what
Yeah.
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 You're in
Okay.
ketosis.
You knock your body.
then.
Yeah, I was gonna say you put your body in ketosis.
It's like where
Well,
you-
I don't know where it does from there.
Well,
but
it's
that's
your
just-
body eating itself instead of...
Right.
Yeah.
I didn't know if that was.
No,
I didn't know if you were
that's-
making a joke or if that
Nope.
was for real.
No, that's it.
Well, I don't think he was on the keto diet. I think I can confirm that.
There's a carb-free UFO.
That's why they were so weak. They got pushed over so easily. Homies need to eat like a pizza.
Well, actually, they found ketones, so it was not a carb-free UFO.
That's true.
They were eating all the food up
Yeah,
there.
they're
so
chowing down.
never mind, they're eating
birthday
everything.
cake and bagels.
If only he remembered it.
Travis also had no signs of injuries, which you would assume he would have at least some kind of bruises on him or something from being thrown back 10 feet. He believes that the aliens took him to help heal him because, being a jackass, he just walked right underneath of a UFO beam and got
So
himself.
they were like, "Oh, our bad. Let's bring you up here and fix you for
Yeah.
5 days."
yeah.
Seems legit.
It wasn't even that big of a fall.
Yeah, but you don't. I mean, what if that? I don't know. Well, who knows what the
We
beam
said-
would
we
do
said
to
he landed on
him?
his shoulder. So what? You knock your shoulder out of place, out of the socket?
So the blind spot here is that he got thrown 10 feet, everyone left, and we don't know what happened after he was knocked unconscious
Right.
until he got into the spacecraft.
I think it's pretty.
Did he get up, get
pretty
mad, and start
obvious they
flipping
elevated
him
his
off?
body up into the craft, right? He was unconscious for 5 days.
Is that what happened?
But he was just sitting out in the woods unconscious for 5 days.
No, they took his
oh.
body up in the ship.
But was knocking him out, throwing him 10 feet, the warning shot, and he's like, "Hey, fuckers," and he went right back under the
Well, I
beam,
guess
and
that
they're like,
we-
"All right, guy, if you're asking for it now."
That we don't know. Yeah.
Well, he said that he feels like the little bit that he remembers is like he woke up during something that he shouldn't have woken up for, like that they were trying to fix him.
Yeah, so maybe that's it. They were on a fact-finding mission to Earth. He accidentally got hurt because he stepped under their, whatever they were doing, and like, all right, we got to fix this dumbass.
Yeah, this fucking Yahoo logger goes walking up underneath their ship.
Right now we got to deal with this mess.
So as the story grew with APRO's investigation, this brought out the debunkers, mainly one named Philip Klass.
Who we know that Ian loves from previous
He's the
episodes.
so finally, it's the hero of the story.
Fucking
I've been called the Philip class of my day.
Philip Klass is a fucking piece of shit.
I love debunking stories, and character assassination is the best form of assassination. When you can just totally ruin someone, that's the best. This guy does it with a vengeance.
Yeah, he made his life's work to debunk UFOs, but like you were saying, the character assassination, harassment, to go after witnesses of UFOs and top researchers like Stanton Friedman and J. Allen Hynek. And I mean, there's shit that's been found through digging through FBI files and stuff where he's just blasting Stanton Friedman, trying to derail his whole career.
And that's your boy.
Yeah, and the same with J. Allen Hynek too. I love J. Allen Hynek, and
And
he's,
we haven't talked about Hynek, have we?
not yet.
Do we know why Class? Like, what was his motive?
I don't know. There's some people think that he was actually like being paid by the government to go and discredit this stuff. But then the FBI released files that they had on him, and
They weren't claiming
No,
him.
they didn't like
They
him
were
either.
This guy's not our fucking problem. He's
They
a
were-
pain in our ass.
We agree
too.
he's an asshole.
yeah,
So that was the one thing that the UFO community agreed on. with the government also was that Philip Klass was a piece of shit?
Oh, yeah. No one fucking likes Philip Klass. So after the medical examination, APRO set up a polygraph test for Travis to take because all the other guys had taken the polygraph and passed it.
Right.
So during this polygraph test, it was found that Travis had smoked weed a couple times and took some speed in the past.
Does that mean a couple times that day? Because
No,
if it
no.
doesn't, then it's ridiculous.
In the
and
past.
irrelevant.
Well, he
Yeah.
was working that day, and I think they actually have like the cell phone data that shows he had talked with Betty Hill, but because he was working, they couldn't meet up that day. The next 5 days, though, they had a party.
And this is something that Philip Klass would bring up for years when trying to debunk this case, saying that Travis was a known drug user. And Klass came up with the theory that the puncture wound on Travis's elbow was from Travis injecting a mixture of acid and angel dust.
Interesting.
But that makes no fucking sense. That's not even a drug combination.
That's not a thing. Sorry, Phil. That's not a thing.
I feel like
What
that would
was
fucking
Phil-
like kill you or make you go crazy.
What was Phil Klass basing that on, or just literally making something up because now there was evidence that this guy had used some drugs in the past?
Yeah.
So now let's just make him out to be a big piece of shit,
Right.
like I would do.
He Yeah, he was just going with that. And he would also bring up the fact that when Travis was 16, he and one of his friends stole some payroll checks and forged them for cash. But that has nothing to do with UFO stuff.
I mean, it just means he's a dishonest person.
When he was
I don't
16?
I don't believe dishonest people.
I mean, I've never done anything like that, but I mean, I did some stupid shit.
It's a stretch. It's a big stretch. How old was he now?
He was 22 when this happened.
6 years later. He's still immature. just saying. So he's a drug user and a criminal.
Yeah, Phil.
Because he smoked weed a couple times in his life.
Well,
and did
it's
not
said-
that-
well,
like
no,
maybe if that hour.
speed. We're not talking
outta
about
here.
just a plant. We're talking about speed now too.
Everybody
These are
was doing speed back then.
Hardcore narcotics, and he's a criminal. I'm just throwing that out there. So now you believe what you want, but I'm just saying.
Narcotics?
Yeah.
The speed
We're going to
is
have to
not a
discuss
narcotic.
the definition of narcotics there,
Yeah.
buddy.
Hardcore narcotics is the way I understand what he's doing. Where there's rumors of angel dust and cocaine.
There's not rumors. There's Philip Klass saying it.
He only said it because you said it.
Speed was prescribed over it was prescribed by doctors back
For
then.
diets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe, but now he's mixing it with weed and angel dust. These are hardcore narcotics, guys. And he's a thief.
Oh man.
See, let me point out something here. Betty is dead and cannot sue you for libel. Travis Walton is alive and well and maybe listening to this, so I would tread easy on the drug addict reference.
I'm basing it off what Philip Klass is saying.
Yeah, we might get some UFO people listening to this, some GSW guys or some APRO guys
We
being
haven't
pissed
chat on
off.
them, have we? Other than Nerd Mike coming in here.
Yeah, that's all.
No, he did was read
In all
the statement.
fairness, that's probably pretty
Well, if
accurate.
Philip Klass hasn't been sued,
He's dead.
He's dead too. Yeah.
well, he was alive at one point.
Yeah.
Did anyone ever go after him, sue him?
Yeah, I don't know.
It's a stretch, though. I mean, that's like why, like the what is it? What did he say? Robbing a store or
He just
stealing from a
forged some checks.
store? Yeah, it's
Who doesn't forge some checks when you're 16? Fucking kidding me?
So and they base a lot of this stuff on the polygraph tests, and in my opinion, you can't. They don't hold up in court.
Because they're not accurate.
Yeah, I mean they're not accurate at all. But Travis and the rest of the guys, they passed everyone they've taken, and
Not exactly true. So I was just watching YouTube, and do you guys remember that movie? Not movie, the game show, The Moment of Truth, where they gave people a bunch of lie detector tests. Well, Travis Walton was on this show a couple years ago.
Really?
And the question about was he ever abducted by aliens was deemed to be false.
by a game show.
Yeah, but it was lie detectors that they gave him
really.
before the show and then on the show, like two different sets. And that question, he was came up false. He was shocked. They panned in on him when they said false, and he just he was shocked that they said false. And the audience was booing him. It was
father.
terrible. Yeah.
The audience booed him, and then he went in shame. And then executive producer Philip Klass.
Yeah, right. It's a fucking government disinformation operation going on at that game show.
So all right.
Now
So-
Ian hates that show. What's funny is I'm shitting on all this, and I actually believe this story. I actually do. I'm a believer of this one.
Yeah, I believe this one. Well, because they were saying the
I know I'm
odds
blowing our load here before we get to the end, but
they were saying the odds of these guys passing this many tests with the same story is pretty much astronomical. The odds of it, but
And they're all still sticking to it,
yeah,
too.
and the same exact story. It's never changed.
sorry, I didn't mean to jump to the conclusion.
Oh
there. I
no,
was
that's
just-
fine. But that didn't stop Philip Glass because he did this up until the day he died. He never gave up on this fucking story, and he made these guys' lives miserable. He would just hound them with letters, phone calls, and he even tracked them down when these guys had moved and didn't leave forwarding addresses and stuff. Like, he was relentless.
So it was just harassment at this point.
Yeah. He would come to their homes personally and try to get them to recant their story. He even offered Stephen Pierce $10,000 to recant, and he wouldn't. And Stephen Pierce was the youngest one of the crew. I think he's played by the E.T. kid in the movie.
Henry Thomas.
Yeah. He hated Travis Walton for a long, even at this time when he was offered the $10,000 because of what it had done to his life, and the fact that he was crying, and he's always been said that he was the one that was crying. He was not thrilled with that detail going out.
But there's video from a couple years ago where he was on a panel with
they've made
Travis,
up. But for the longest time, he hated him and didn't want anything to do with any of this.
Coincidentally, like I said earlier, that Travis's picture doesn't show up. It's Stephen Pierce's picture that shows up on Google.
That's hilarious.
Wow. Maybe that's how they made up. That was the deal. Well, whenever someone Googles your name, my picture will show up. Deal. I'm not mad at you anymore. Now I'll be the crybaby, but
It's kind of weird, actually. I don't
that
know.
his picture shows up.
Yeah.
Unless I made a Google error.
Well, can't we try it now?
Yeah, do
Go
it.
for it.
What am I looking up here?
Travis Walton.
An actor comes up with a cowboy hat.
Yeah, that's Stephen Pierce. Weird, right?
Yeah, it's weird.
And then when you go to the images,
It's a clip from that movie, I think.
I think that comes up. Is that Travis Walton? That's if you go to images,
Yeah,
that's the
yeah.
first one. But then the second one is the YouTube video with that.
Yeah, that's Stephen Pierce.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Poor guy.
Kind of looks like Chuck Liddell.
Yeah,
He does look like Chuck Liddell.
So yeah, and then even the one guy, Ken Peterson, moved to Mexico to get away from Philip Glass and all his bullshit.
The harassment, man.
Yeah. So Glass's biggest claim of debunking that he came up with was that these guys came up with the whole story, and Travis hid somewhere for 5 days so they could get out of this logging contract because Mike was going to lose money on it, and they would be able to say it was like an act of God that this happened so they could get out of the contract.
Aren't there other ways that would be more believable to get out of it?
Yeah, so from what I was looking at too, they said they would just pay a penalty fee on it. Like, it doesn't, this seems like it's so unreasonable to do something like
That's
this.
a big stretch to go down just to get out of the
Yeah.
work.
That's how they made it sound in the movie, too. Like they canceled the contract, so they weren't going to get paid at all.
Right.
That kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, this is like any other UFO story. It just comes down to what you believe happened, I mean, there's a ton
There's
of
not a lot to debunk it.
No, I mean, the polygraph evidence is huge in my opinion, even though I don't think that they hold up in court and whatever. I mean, just the fact that they've taken so many over the years, regardless of the game show.
I'm struggling to come up with any reason why I don't believe this.
So Travis wrote a book. He got the movie deal. Do you think he spread the money around to the guys?
I don't know how much money he actually made because I was looking at the budget for the movie versus what it made, and they barely made a profit on that movie.
I wonder why.
God, it was brutal.
And I can't think he didn't. I mean, he didn't make. I can't think he made a lot off the book. And I can't imagine that the UFO conferences are paying him very much money to go talk at those. So you know.
So I mean, it's kind of odd for me, but I'm leaning towards I almost just believe this one. I don't have anything telling me not that I don't believe them. So I don't know. It didn't seem like when this was happening and right after it happened, they were doing anything to seek attention.
No.
I guess is my biggest thing. Like it seemed like they did not want to be bothered by this. They wanted to find their friend.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to separate the movie from the actual story because the movie obviously is a lot different. But it just seems like they wanted to find their friend and they were really shooken up by it, and that was it. So I don't know.
The only person that was really doing anything was his brother Dwayne, and he was just talking to all the UFO people that were coming into town because he was all about it.
He was waiting for him to pick him up.
Right.
Sure, he was really bummed.
That's the only people that his brother was talking to, is just the UFO people that were coming in. So, I mean, I believe this one.
The stuff I look at is years later when no one has ever contradicted the story and everyone's sticking to their story, just like last week with the Enfield thing. No one had ever contradicted it, and everyone...
And Stephen Pierce coming out, I think it was 2015 when that documentary came out, and him interviewing, like, he had nothing to gain from coming out and talking about it again. He had never talked about it publicly before. I mean, there was nothing to gain from doing that.
And you could probably secure yourself 10, 15 grand by coming out and saying, I'll do an interview where I refute, and talk about the hoax.
Well, they were offered.
Philip Klass offered him money. Fucking Philip Klass. Yeah, I believe it.
I kind of do too.
The white aliens are interesting for when we get into start going down the road of the Nazis and Hitler and all that stuff, like Madame Blavatsky and
I don't know any of that.
Yeah, she has all her 6 or 8 races, and the Aryans are one of them.
That sounds like a wild story.
Yeah, and Hitler had his medium.
That's right.
That
Hitler,
claim that she taught.
Always goes back to him.
That's why I think with the white ones, I think it's interesting with those because it does tie back into that a little bit. But yeah, I believe it.
I have no reason not to believe it.
The star map thing's interesting too because Betty said that she remember she had they had the star map.
She drew it. She drew the
map. But she said it was like that, like it came down like a big, like a 3D kind of.
That really fascinates me that they now hang out like they were buds, not now. They were like buds after this and like got together.
Yeah. And that, did you watch the documentary on Amazon? It's called The True Story of Travis Walton.
No.
There's they show a picture of him and Betty hanging out at one of the conferences.
That's awesome. Well, I mean, they've been through the same experience. You might as well talk about it.
Yeah, I'm buying this one. I don't have any reason not to.
All right, Ian, you got anything else with Fire in the Sky?
It makes me reconsider getting close to a UFO if I ever see one.
It's true. You were one of those people that said that you'd be out there trying to go see it and get close.
Yeah, I wouldn't get right underneath of it, but...
That wouldn't be wise, I don't think.
I wouldn't run away or anything. I would just stand there.
I would probably keep a distance and watch. I think that's what I would do.
Admire from afar?
Yeah. From a distance, quite a bit of a distance.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you saw something weird out there, would you? I'd want to watch it and see what it was.
Oh, yeah, for
but
sure.
But it would be from a distance.
I'd get close, I think.
I don't know how close I would get.
I definitely wouldn't get right up underneath of it.
Not smart.
No,
we saw how that ends.
Yeah, it's a cool story.
Yeah, it was a fun little story.
I had fun going back and watching the movie.
Hopefully all the Alien fans out there love this one. I did not have fun watching that movie, but it was all right. Like, I mean, if you want to watch the movie to go along with this story, go ahead. It's not quite the same thing, but gives you another unique view at it.
Yeah.
It's a little darker.
Yeah.
At least the abduction part.
Yeah, that's for sure.
You know what I like with the abduction thing, too, is how the aliens, like the typical gray look, is actually like a spacesuit.
Mm-hmm.
You know? Like the aliens were like, they look completely different outside of those suits. That was pretty sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was cool.
All right. What do we got? Shout outs.
A couple of shout outs from Instagram. Pebbles and Matilda and Maddie Hathaway. And a shout out from Twitter. TV Tangents Podcast. Thanks for your support.
Boom.
And I know, like we said last week, that we got a ton of reviews coming in on iTunes. We got about another 20 this week altogether. So thanks everybody for leaving reviews for us.
Real nice.
Shout outs for iTunes: K-Train88, Mike Ford from Utah, Helia, and NC Skittles. Thank you guys.
All right. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. We are at Necronomipod. Reach out to us. Let us know what you think about the episodes. Let us know if there's anything you want us to maybe look into to cover in the future. And like Ian said, if you get on iTunes and leave us a rating and review, that goes a long way to help us. So we'd really appreciate it. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. We'll talk to you next week.
You guys ready for a cool down beer?
Cheers.